Fellas, AC here. Welcome to another review. Now, today I'm going to talk about niche fragrances for winter 2024-2025. Niche fragrances. Whenever I wear niche fragrances, I make sure that two of the things are being satisfied. Number one, they have to be complex, multi-layered. If they're not complex or multi-layered, I'm not interested. Why should I spend so much money on a linear fragrance, which is just packaged beautifully and belongs to a niche, supposedly niche brand, right? That's number one criteria for me. And the second thing is the quality of materials. The material should scream out quality. You know, the moment you spray it, you say, wow, okay, this is very high quality. Those are the two things that I really go for. And this year, I've gone for 10 niche fragrances, which are absolutely super complex. You know, most of them are polarizing. Not most of them, some of them, but most of them have this complexity, multi-layered fragrance. So let's start. Number one fragrance on this list, right from the bottom, is right at the bottom, but it's a very, very nice fragrance. And it's at the bottom because it's very polarizing. And I'm quite proud to actually have discovered this fragrance for the Franco. Excuse me. This is a fragrance by Nishane. The packaging isn't the best. I'm not a big fan of Nishane's packaging, but that's where my complaints end. I really like this brand. Nishane's Sultan Vetiver. Vetiver is a beautiful note. It's used everywhere. Every fragrance house has got a Vetiver fragrance. But the moment you smell this, you realize what is the actual scale of Vetiver. What can Vetiver do? So this is basically a combination of multiple types of Vetivers. There are four, I think: Javanese, Haitian, Bourbon, and just Indian Vetiver, or just common Vetiver, or whatever. It also has patchouli, and the first time I realized when Vetiver and patchouli is combined, it creates a very sensational, sort of secretive or mysterious sort of personality. And that's what this fragrance is. When it dries down, it is incredible. It has also a note of leather. But this is a fragrance for people who can tolerate complexity, who don't necessarily wear fragrances to get compliments. I wouldn't say this is unpleasant, but this is challenging. And when I reviewed it, I gave it a 10 out of 10. I still stick by it. But this is for complexity and quality materials rather than compliment factor. So you've got to bear that in mind when you go for this fragrance, when you're testing this fragrance. Now next on my list is a fragrance which is a sandalwood fragrance, but it's more than that. It is one of the most charismatic, well-made, well-dressed fragrances in my collection. It is an Italian house, Acqua di Parma, and this is Sandalo in an Italian style. So this is basically, it's so beautiful, it's so well-made, it's just tremendous. This is basically a citrus aromatic fougere backbone. So it has orange, it has citruses, and it has lavender, and it has tonka. Also a hint of leather. So it's like a fougere backbone. But on top of that, encased in it, is this creamy, wonderful sandalwood. And sandalwood and vanilla create a very, very well put together, very charismatic personality. It smells absolutely stunning. You know, if I was to give you a picture, I would draw up this picture. Jim Morrison. This is Jim Morrison's kind of a fragrance. This could be Jim Morrison's signature scent. You know, this has got that kind of enigmatic and yet very, very stylish personality. Someone who's very special. Without a question. I'm a massive fan of this fragrance. So, number two, from the bottom. But not necessarily, don't go by numbers. It's just random. And because I'm doing randomly, let me put in another random fragrance. This is not part of the main list. A few days ago, maybe 4 or 5 days ago, I became a little bit bored of the weather. The weather has been very grey here in the UK. It's been raining or just grey, you know, no sunshine for weeks on end. So I got a little bored and I thought maybe I should wear a citrus aromatic. maybe a citrus fragrance, just to cheer myself up. I wasn't depressed or anything, I just wanted something more lively. So I went and brought out a fragrance which did wonders for me. And this is basically Serge Lutens' Fleurs d'Orange. This is considered one of the most notable, magnificent orange blossom fragrances. And since I've been getting into orange blossom a bit more lately, I've been really liking YSL Y, which uses this beautiful orange blossom. Then I was praising Dolce & Gabbana, the One, or EDP. It has a fantastic orange blossom in the middle. So I was craving orange blossom. So I brought this out, and it has a fabulous note of tuberose as well. And it just smelled amazing in this winter. It's quite cold and grey weather. It was stunning. So really enjoyed it. So you could consider this one to be a sort of an honorable mention. If you ever feel like wearing something bright and wonderful, bring this out. It's stunning. Fleur d'Orange. Next on my list is, this is amazing. This is so easy to wear, so easy to like. It's a stunner. Very hard to get hold of. This is Histoires de Parfums Rare Fidelis. Rare Fidelis is another fragrance, just like Sultan Vetiver, that I discovered for the FragCon. And this is easy as you like. It is absolutely superb coffee with cardamom and oud. The oud is Laotian oud. There's no skank. It's very rich, and in the middle there is a sour rose. So raspberry and rose. The transition, the multiple layers, the luxury of the smell, the richness of the fragrance is unbeatable. The cardamom is absolutely exquisite, and so is the coffee. Try this fragrance if you can get hold of it. Rare Fidelis by Histoires de Parfums. I reserve it only for special occasions. So I think I've reviewed all three of them. The next one I haven't reviewed yet, but I've been praising this. This is Magical Potion. It is Acqua by Lubin. Look at the bottle. This is inspired by the ancient Akkadian civilization. I think it was eastern Mesopotamia. I may be wrong, but it was in Mesopotamia or before Mesopotamia. So Iraq, northern Iraq. It is inspired by that culture, and there's something really intoxicating about this fragrance. It has got, I think, cardamom again, very, very nice olibanum, amber, styrax, and labdanum, and just animalic, a little animalic, and extremely intoxicating and meditative quality. It is really inspired by some sort of a religious ceremony. It takes you back to some sort of an emperor's court, if you like. As I said, in my last video, a couple of days ago when I did the Christmas video, I get transported to a sort of a Mughal court. This is how a court would smell after some sort of a religious ceremony. It's just incredible. I'm going to do a review very soon because this is just stunning. It's a golden fragrance. This color, very correct. 4 down. Next on my list is a sorcery in perfumery. This is my scent of the day. Wow. I really like this house. It is Francesca Bianchi, The Dark Side. Now this is about waxy, resinous, ambery honey. So it's about honey first, and it's combined with iris or orris type note, because Francesca Bianchi has a real way with orris root butter. She uses it masterfully. And then along with that, there's vanilla, and there's, I believe, patchouli as well. So this is waxy, dusty, incredibly sensual amber with honey, slightly animalics as well, dirty animalics as well. Incredible, incredibly rich, very, very well made fragrance, and it takes a bit of patience because initially it smells too sweet and resinous because of honey. But as it dries down, it creates a magical sort of a scent profile, beautiful scent cloud, and it has nuclear projection. So one spray is enough. The dark side, I'll review it this winter, promise you. Next on my list is another sandalwood based fragrance, and it is inspired by the baobab trees of Africa. This fragrance, this is so special. It is called Cri Du Kalahari by Ella K. Now this house, I need to delve into this house a bit more. I really like this creation. This creation is basically amalgamation of two woods, cedar and sandalwood. And sandalwood is combined with West Indian sandalwood kind of smell, a myrrhous. And I also get many notes here, but the whole idea is to create a soliflor like sandalwood, but it isn't. If you have your nose sort of properly trained, you'll pick up notes like carrot seeds. You'll also, it's like a more refined version of Santal 33, if you see what I mean. Santal 33 is anyways a very good fragrance. This takes it one notch above that and makes it more warm, more resinous, slightly sweeter, more nuclear, This is very special. Again, very, very strong fragrance, so I wear it when I really want to wear a very strong fragrance. Just like the dark side. The dark side is absolutely nuclear strength. Next on my list is a masculine leather. I praise this fragrance enough. I haven't reviewed it yet. It's a very, very special fragrance. It is Guerlain Derby. Now, Guerlain Derby is an 80s fragrance. It's a proper sort of leather fougère, if you like, or leather beige chypre, I think. Wow, that leather with carnation. Very few notes here. And mixed in that carnation is this green, fresh, piney smell. So fresh animalic leather with the most beautiful smell of carnation. Carnation anyways, people avoid because it makes a fragrance smell like the 80s. And this is an 80s fragrance, reimagined in the early 2000s, I believe. But the leather note is dramatic. This is a very, very well made fragrance, only for tuxedos and black tie events and people with tremendous amounts of confidence. This is absolutely terrific fragrance and very expensive. So I believe this was discontinued and it's being brought back in. And if you think, or if you're having difficulty getting hold of this, then this is a very, very good substitute. This one is Equipage by Amouage. This fragrance has less of a leather and more of a pine, more of a spicy pine, more spices here. And this was in my winter 2024 designer list. Derby is in the niche list. Either will do. Both are amazing fragrances. This is much cheaper, easier to get hold of. This is quite expensive, difficult to get hold of, but both will do the job. And I will review the Derby this season, promise you. Next on my list is another green fragrance. It's an Amouage. This fragrance is another one of those fragrances which really sort of plays with your mind. Basically, it asks you a question: what are you smelling? So this is Memoir. Memoir is absolutely next level perfumery. Not everybody's cup of tea. People either like this or dislike it. This one is sweet and sour and smoky and rich and leather all at the same time. So, excuse me. Imagine a foggy green forest, absolutely verdant. And then imagine the smell of the most amazing new leather, top-notch quality leather. You can smell the leather. Then imagine some smoke, like birchy, burnt wood smoke. And mix with that sweet herbal smell, like wormwood and lavender. That's the fragrance. I've reviewed this fragrance, and this is basically, again, as I said, very accomplished perfumery. Smoke, green, leather, herbs. Bring them together and make it one of the nicest fragrances out there. Very mysterious, accomplished perfumery at its very, very best. So that's Memoir Man. 3 left. Next on my list is a result, or 2 left I should say, is a result of a challenge. It was a challenge from a Middle Eastern perfumer, I believe, or a critique to Thierry Vasser of Guerlain to create a Middle Eastern fragrance, right? Like a Middle Eastern fragrance should be. And it was an incredible result. This is Songe du Bois. I do not know if I'm pronouncing this right or not. Wow. Wow. It's as if Thierry Vasser, by his sheer hard work, ended up with some sort of an ancient recipe of how to make a proper oriental fragrance containing oud. So this is all about oud and leather and florals and spices and smoke. But put more than 1 spray and it will never forgive you. It's one of the most strongest fragrance. But it's put 1 spray and just enjoy yourself. If you can get a bottle. Now these things are going for about £500 because Guerlain has now replaced these old amazing fragrances with the new bottles, which I haven't smelt. Bois Mysterieux is the name, which goes for, I don't know, 125 or whatever. But somehow these old bottles are the craze. People go absolutely mental about these fragrances. So, and they should. The perfumery, the craftsmanship of this fragrance is absolutely maestro level. As I said, all these fragrances in this list today are either 9 or 10. You know, it's very, very hard to give anything less than that. Songe du Bois. Last on my list is a fragrance which is beautiful. It's the composition of a complete maestro. You put it on your wrist, 1 spray, and you realize what a beautiful hobby, you know, you have enjoying fragrances. This is again vintage, and it is called Serge Lutens Fille and Aiguilles. Fille, lady, Aiguilles, needles. Lady in needles. Fille and Aiguilles. This has been repackaged in the skyscraper bottles, the black ones, the matte finish, and the prices have gone up 3 times. So when I got this, I probably got this for 90 or maybe even less. And this is 50 ml. I do not know whether the new bottles are 75 ml or not, but the prices are starting from 275. So, but it's worth it. If you smell this fragrance, you will immediately realize how beautiful this fragrance is. Very few notes. So it is around pine resins, incense, smoke, dry fruits, and maybe earthy patchouli. I smell a lot of earth here, earthy patchouli. So very few notes. Again, I'll do the review very soon. But you put it on your hand, 1 spray, and then you're taken to the next level of amazing perfumery. You know, who would have thought that dry fruits, smoke, and pine resin can smell so good? Terrific fragrance, and spices as well. So that concludes the list. This is what I'll be wearing this winter. About 6 of these fragrances haven't been reviewed. I do not know what I do. I'm going to try and review all 6 of them this winter. I promise you. Take care. I hope you really enjoyed this video. And if you did, do give it a like. Take care. Bye-bye.